Just wanted to record real quick to show some of you guys the boat project. You obviously don't get to see it, especially up in Wisconsin, Montana, whatever. So this is the area. They used to have a battery sitting here, and my suspicion is the battery was not in a box at one point in time. So there were a million holes. There were actually, I don't know, 10 or so pinholes there where I could see the ground once I ground this, not ground it off, but I used a wire brush on my grinder and cleaned it all up. My intention was to kind of solder it or whatever using these rods, but those don't work very well. So I just ended up using this. It's kind of an expensive sealant, but anyway, it's designed for boats, for aluminum boats specifically. So anyway, there was a crack back here, just enough to let some water in, and then of course all those pinholes were letting. It didn't leak very badly, but it was enough that it took on a little water, and I just wanted it sealed up completely so I can be out on the water for hours without worrying about it. So I built this little block here out of 2 layers of plastic, 1/2-inch plastic. I stuck bolts in, I epoxied them in place. They only go through the first block, so the second one basically is the insulator. I bolted this to the side of the boat, and then I put these small ones in also, so this makes it easier for me to hook up electronics or whatever. And then I made some wing nuts. I just took nuts and welded little ears on them. So that's the negative side, of course, and then this is the positive side. Here's the thing for it. And then I'm running some 8-gauge wire from there, and then I'm gonna run, that's the other thing, I'm gonna run a wire from here to here. I'm just gonna have a little loop down there, same thing on the ground side, so that way, like my lights and all that, they'll all hook to these little wires, or these little nuts. The big ones are mostly for the electric trolling motor that goes on the back of the boat. And you can see it's kind of a mess because I'm in the middle of working on a lot of this stuff. So it came with this switch plate, which I really like, but he had it mounted in a box that was starting to kind of deteriorate. It was plywood. So I took this piece of, I cut this out of the bottom of the seat, which I'll show you in a second. So you can kind of see my little marks there. I'm gonna cut a square out and then mount this to it. And then I've got some aluminum diamond plate, which I'm going to cut and bend. That's gonna go basically around the side to essentially box it in. So I've got to do that yet. It came with a fish finder. I've got it dismounted right now, but it goes right there. Its plug is actually right here, so I'll have it wired in. It'll be wired to one of these switches. So basically I'll have 2 switches, one for the front lights, one for the rear lights, and then probably the one labeled bilge pump will become the fish finder, and then there'll be one switch that's not used. So I cut out under the seat, and I put my battery box in there, so that way it can sit in there. I'm going to figure out something to do to make it where it's held in there, so vibration and all that won't make it fall out, or slide out, I should say. I haven't yet figured out what exactly I'm going to do, how I'm going to do that. I'm also going to coat the bottom of the floor there with the same sealant, more as vibration protection than anything. And I will put a real thin piece of foam either in the bottom of this box or under this box, so it also absorbs some of the vibration, and probably will make it where that won't slide at all. The box won't have the top on it because it won't fit in that seat is only so tall. So these seats are filled with foam underneath. For those of you who don't know, basically it's designed so that even if the boat goes down completely, it still will float. It'll just be like the water level will probably be right about here, but the sides of it, you'd be able to find it and, you know, drag it out at least. I did figure out the oar mounts, 13 inches from the front of this seat is what I figured out is best for Kristen and I, the way it sits. I put a board up here. I measured. I put marks all the way along. So anyway, there's all that. And then of course here's the front mount that he had mounted the front light, sorry, that he had mounted. That'll be on one of those switches. So that's basically what I'm doing. And then of course these seats go on. Now I don't know that I'm going to put the seat back on this one because the oars are kind of low relative to where that seat was sitting. So if I want to use the oars much, it wouldn't be very comfortable. So I don't know if I'm going to take the extra seat and put it up here exactly yet, or what I'm going to do, but I will be figuring something out there. The extra seat will get used. It just may not go in the middle. And I've got some cushions I can sit on. Also, eventually I intend to take that aluminum diamond plate I've got and completely box that area in underneath of there. So so basically you don't see the foam. It'll be a nice, you know, aluminum surface on the sides. So that's the extent of the boat project right now.